I know that I said that healing looks different for everybody, and so I don't want to tell you that you have to do it this way. I don't feel like I gave you enough suggestions though. And there are certain suggestions when it comes to chakra healing that you will hear all of the time, such as listen to this frequency and wear this color because it's associated with this chakra. I understand that, and I wanted to go ahead and give you some options. You can do the typical chakra healing options where you do listen to a particular frequency and where you would wear a particular color. For instance, you would wear green, which is associated with the heart chakra. Okay. And if you are new to this series, you might want to go back to that episode, which, because I am not doing the chakras in order. I am doing them by what I feel is best for my own healing. And it doesn't matter which order you listen to them to, but this is just the second one. So if I were you, I would go back to that episode so that this episode makes a little more sense to you. Okay. And there is even an intro episode for people who are new here. I definitely recommend checking out that episode so that you can get to know who I am and what the Lua Nova brand is and what this podcast is all about. Okay. That episode will remain right here. Going forward, bonus episodes are only on Patreon. And I do want to make sure that in the beginning, I'm putting my Patreon right in the beginning. So go to patreon.com/the Lua Nova podcast if you want additional episodes for $5 a month. Okay. So one thing that I didn't mention, because I myself don't have a green thumb. I'm not a plant witch? I'm not that. Now, I instinctively always know what herbs to use, but that is very different than being a plant witch. I just don't have that green thumb, and that's okay. And I understand that I'm an earth sign, and maybe other earth signs are super fantastic at taking care of plants, but not this one. All right. But one thing that I want to mention for healing your heart chakra is planting a small garden, especially if, like myself, you are grieving. That garden can be dedicated to your lost loved one or whatever your loss is, because as I said before, loss looks different for everybody. It is not always a loss of a person or a pet. It can be the loss of a relationship, marriage, job. You owned your own business and it crumbled. There are a lot of different losses. If you're in the United States, you might be grieving right now for the United States. I know that I hesitate to call him a TikToker because he is across a lot of different platforms. So I'll just say that he's a creator by the name of David Boomer, and he talks a lot about the grieving that he is feeling towards the United States. And so I can understand that. Thankfully, as a Afro-Brazilian / Mexican, I have culture in other countries. And so my heart is more with them than anywhere else in the world. However, sidebar, what you won't do, Canada, the UK, and Australia, is try to come for our intelligence. That's what you won't do. Especially when your trends, etc., come from the United States. It's weird. It's weird that you're attacking something that you copy. It's real Drake of you. And since this is a very anti-Drake podcast, I'll just leave that right there and get back to what I was focusing on. And if that didn't apply to you, then don't get offended. Let's see. Mandalas. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I love the way that mandalas make me feel, the frequency that they have, and that they are all different. If you're not familiar with what a mandala is, I'll spell it out for you. MANDALAS. Or you don't have to put the S on the end if you're just looking up what one looks like so you can get an idea of what I'm referring to. They are something that you can create yourself. They are something that you can color. If you've likely seen adult coloring books, you have seen a lot of mandalas in your life, and they can kind of help you to move forward with you. I think adult coloring in general, something like that, can help you move forward with your grieving or your healing, because I also understand that your healing may not have to do with grief. It may be that you're healing from trauma, healing from stress, etc. There's many different things that we are constantly working on healing from. Okay. Substance abuse, all of the above. Okay. So I created this series with all types of healing in mind, physical healing as well. As you all know, I have had some severe health issues, and this time last year I was in the ER and I almost died. And so January is a difficult time for me in general. And healing in general is something that has become a big focus for me. All right. I also really enjoy working out and going to the gym. I don't get to lift weights the way I used to. So another thing that I want to tell you about that would cover all of actually all the chakras is moving your body. You know, that is something that is important for healing your chakra system too, is healing your body by movement. And something that I do want to say, because I didn't mention it when I briefly mentioned Patreon, is that there are going to be guided meditations for all of the 7 primary chakras. So every time an episode airs from the chakra series, there will also be a guided meditation on the Patreon and only on the Patreon. And the next thing that I'm going to be incorporating is walking meditations, and those will only be on Patreon as well. They will be their own series, okay? So that series will only be on Patreon because I myself like to walk on the treadmill. I have one at home, and of course, when I go to the gym, I use theirs, and it's just, you know, for maybe less than $200, you can buy a treadmill that you can have at home if you want to do the walking meditation with me. And I'm not saying to go buy one. I'm just saying, you know, if you don't have the option to go out in nature, I know here the weather is definitely not up to par for that right now. If that's something that you want to consider, I'm in no way selling you a particular treadmill. I'm not about to insert any kind of a code. I'm just letting you know, just different options for healing. Okay. And of course, another one, and this applies to all of the chakras, is about sound frequency. Now, frequency is something that you hear me talk about a lot because everything has a frequency. Everything. And so when we're trying to heal our heart chakra, you can focus on the heart chakra frequency of 341 hertz. Okay. And there are many different people who will tell you different sound frequencies for the chakras. And that is just what I was able to find when I was researching. I might have even said a different one during the last recording. I genuinely don't remember. Another one that I mentioned was writing love letters randomly, to just random love letters that people can find, complete strangers can find. I worry about that being just bad for the environment, because what if it just ends up floating all over the earth? So that is why I didn't necessarily recommend it unless you plan to leave it in places where you know people will find it and it won't just end up floating, you know, on the grass somewhere. But another area of writing would be writing to lost loved ones, writing to the person that you broke up with, the person that, you know, didn't understand you at the job you just left, things like that. Sometimes that can be therapeutic. And from a witch's standpoint, you can burn that and turn that frequency into a different one of healing. And now it's a spell. Okay. So that's just another option. There are crystals, of course, that are associated with healing. Remember, I did say this on the last episode, and I'm going to say it again. Rocks are not going to do all of the work for you. Okay. That includes diamonds and all the fancier, you know, rocks, etc., that you have been taught about. But wearing green aventurine is not going to automatically heal you if you just don't do any of the work. That is not how that works whatsoever. However, crystals, the reason why we work with crystals is because they have their own frequency, and their frequencies are typically, you know, for the practice of healing, or for protection, or for love, etc., depending on what it is. So definitely look into crystals like rose quartz, kunzite, and green aventurine. That's just 3 that I'm going to name to focus on your heart chakra. All right. And healing your heart chakra. They can help with when you're meditating. If you do EFT tapping, like I do sometimes, then that's something that I would recommend for you. All right.